call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
Payton Talbot takes on Felipe Lima this Saturday at UFC 317. And this is Payton Talbot's return to the UFC after his lackluster performance against Raoni Barcelos. He was a minus 1150 favorite over Raoni Barcelos and just got dominated on the ground that entire fight. It was just absolutely crazy. We saw kind of a pretty big gap in his skill set, even though Raoni Barcelos is a very good grappler, has a lot of experience, so it's hard to hold that against him. But I definitely think that's the pathway to beating Payton Talbot. Obviously, is mixing in your grappling and trying to out wrestle the kid, because he's a very good striker, pinpoint accuracy, tons of power, tons of aura. This kid was one of the bigger stars that the UFC had seen in a while. Not sure why they fed him to Raoni Barcelos, who's always got that grappling threat. But we'll see if he can bounce back against another guy in Felipe Lima, who I think is one of the brighter stars in the UFC. Lost his pro debut back in 2015. Since then, has rattled off 14 straight wins. Made his debut on short notice against Muhammad Naimov, where it really wasn't going his way to start that fight out, but ended up getting the rear naked choke to get him out of there. And recently having a very impressive performance over Miles Johns back in December. So I'm gonna have to go with Felipe Lima in this one. I've always thought Felipe Lima was very high level, very well rounded. Fights out of All Stars Training Center. I believe that's in, where is that? Sweden, right? With Hamza Chimaev. I just think he's more well-rounded. I think he's a devastating striker. Very high level on the feet, mixes things up well. Can finish you really anywhere this fight goes. Flying knee knockouts, rear naked chokes, KOs. He's got finishing ability anywhere this fight goes. Whereas Payton Talbot, if he can keep it on the feet, he can win the fight. But I think if you're able to mix in the grappling and really make him work or threaten with submissions, I think you can get it done against him. And he hasn't fought the most high-level competition, honestly. On the regional scene, was beating up a lot of guys who were 0-1, 0-0, 1-0, 5-3. And then had some good performances on the Contender Series and earlier in the UFC. Cameron Simon, we thought that was a good win, but maybe not as good as we thought, considering how Cameron Simon's looked since then. Giannis Gamori got him out of there in the first 20 seconds of the fight. But he takes a step up in competition against Raoni Barcelos, who's very well rounded and can wrestle, and he looks awful. So I'm not saying that Payton Talbot can't make changes to his game, improve his wrestling, and have a really successful career. I just don't know why they're making this fight, honestly. Just because I think both of these guys have a lot of potential and can have really good careers in the UFC, but it's like you're kind of you're obviously setting these guys up. One of them has to lose, and you're kind of purposely ending hype trains or future stars in the UFC, which is just crazy. But I just think in terms of skill set, momentum, and where they're at in their careers right now, I got to go with Felipe Lima. I think he can get it to the ground if he wants to. I think he can stay safe and outpoint Payton Talbot on the feet. And he's going to be threatening with takedowns and able to mix it up, feint, and has more options. Whereas Payton Talbot, he's not looking to get guys to the ground. He's looking to keep it on the feet and lay hands on guys. And we've shown that he's been able to be taken down, not just in his Raoni Barcelos fight, but in some of his previous fights he's been taken down as well. And so I think Felipe Lima, being a very good striker himself, I think he'll be able to stay out of trouble on the feet, stay defensively responsible, not get hurt, mix in his takedowns, or at least threaten with his takedowns to keep Payton Talbot from really threatening against him, closing the distance and opening up or extending combinations. And I think he'll get this one done by decision. Thanks.